What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage, and we are back today with some Incursion raid video guides for you all. But in today's video, we're going to be focusing on more of the HIVE-MIND team. Now, mind you, I don't have Red Goblin unlocked yet, so I'm using Super Scroll as the slot in 5th character. But I want to see, even with the combined efforts of Super Scroll being the 5th and final member, you know, how low can I get away with doing a couple of nodes in Bao? I did try it with the boss node. There was no luck there, but thankfully, I did bring this team to a minimum level to showcase for you all that you can actually get the first 2 nodes done if you have Super Scroll. If you don't have the full HIVE-MIND team, well, this is a good little band-aid approach if you don't want to plan on using Rebirth. And guys, if you're interested as well, I made a previous video as well on Rebirth using Super Scroll, so we got some multiple options to get through the Bao section of the Incursion raids. So I'm not going to go over my Super Scroll just because it's pretty obvious. You build them up as high as you can if you have them in your account. This is how high I brought in my Carnage for the video playthrough. Yes, there's definitely some upgrades I need to make along the way, but I did want to see what could I get away with in terms of the minimum. How much did it matter having, you know, obviously higher gear tier level. So this is what I use in terms of the upgrades right now. And we have Venom here respectively, and make sure you guys have that Striker ISO 8 on him just because of his basic attack here, getting the additional fielding speed bar by 20%. It's pretty big, especially with how many debuffs we're landing on enemies, as you'll see in the gameplay footage. Void Knight is the only one that I have at gear tier 16 here. As you can see, he's just juicier in terms of just what he's going to be bringing, and we have to make sure that he has higher focus to actually land the ability blocks and so forth. Oh, my apologies. Gwendom's also gear tier 16 here as well. Both of them being the newer characters of the team, it does make sense to have them a little bit higher, so that way they do give some natural protection, and Gwenom being the battery of the team. So there you guys have it. So we have Super Scroll gear tier 18, 2 gear tier 15s at Carnage and Venom, and then Void Knight and Gwenom both at 16, all around that level 85, 86 range, with the exception of Super Scroll. Let's get right into it. The node footage here for nodes 1 and 2. There, that's my current placement. Super Scroll in the middle, and I typically try to have my squishier characters that are lower level on the corner, so that way they're not getting attacked as much, seeing as both how Void Knight and Gwenom are probably very important being inside my team. We're going to start things off with Super Scroll, kind of clearing that taunt at the very beginning. And it's very important here, landing the ability block that's AoE across the board, and making sure that Nova and that entire cluster on the left side does have it. And you can get things going off here by just starting to spread all these debuffs. Now, what's nice about Gwenom is that if you utilize her special, she also has a stun, but you gain all the positive buffs here that are the opposite of the negative. So this gets obviously transferred over to our team, which is big for survivability, because this is definitely an undertuned team, as you'll see here. And if we get a couple attacks on our guys, they're going to get hit really hard. And we don't have Red Goblin's revive as well, so we don't really have anything as kind of a buffer, if you will. We have the dodges and so forth. I just go ahead down the middle with Super Scroll and the special if you have him available here, just that way he's turn meter rewinding all the characters in the middle there. And now we're just focusing on Agatha Harkness. She's going to be very important to take down, but first and foremost, make sure you're using Void Knight's second turn special on Nova, so that way it takes away his energy. So even if he gets the natural cleanse off the ability block, he's not going to be able to utilize any of his abilities against us. That's really the pain point of this node, is controlling that Nova. And all the big damage dealers like Omega Red, Agatha Harkness, making sure that they have some sort of way to get slowed down, right? So thankfully at this point, you should get Void Knight to go again now with his ultimate for the second time. So you can see how well his energy is getting generated by Gwenom here, and the speed meter working again, working really well for us. At this point, you should have Super Scroll to get a second turn. The ultimate's gonna pretty much wipe the board here in the first wave. So that's why it's so important. We don't have as much damage with the lower levels on this team, but Super Scroll is the reason that we can actually get it through, just because he puts the team over in terms of damage, and he's pretty much a team in himself, right? So that's why it's really important, if you guys are still waiting on deciding between HIVE-MIND and Rebirth, regardless, getting Super Scroll is pretty big, and not just all game modes, but he does have value even in raids, which is pretty big. And finally, we have this spawned last wave here, and the one to be mindful of is just the Infinity War Thor, just because he can do still a lot of damage. We have Absorbing Man taunt that we need to get through. If you're not able to get through because of the lower gear tier levels like myself, you may have to wait until you get your Super Scroll, but thankfully the taunt does cleanse after a turn. So now I do recommend focusing on Captain Sam and as well as Infinity War Thor, but also being mindful of Nova, right? We were trying to spread the ability block there, utilizing Carnage's basic. Didn't work, but that's okay. You know, I wouldn't hesitate to use any of the abilities of Void Knight, even though we're cleaning up here, just because these enemies, if they just get a turn, it's gonna hurt a lot. So just do not hesitate. It's okay to stun. We have a lot of battery and energy coming from Glenham, which is pretty big. And thankfully, we were able to control Nova up until this point, which is a really good position to be in. But as you can see, we're kind of running out of time here, and that's you know, partially due to the fact that the team's not really geared up that high, but as well, you know, again, it is kind of the Super Skrull show here where he's doing the bulk of the work, right? And the team in itself is just really there to soak damage. But you can see with the number of buffs that we've gotten, the you know, turn meter rewind, this HIVE-MIND team can still hold its own. Thanks to all the buffs that we're getting, right? Thanks to the speed manipulation that we have against our enemies here. So thankfully that kind of works in itself, even though, like I said, both Carnage, Venom being at gear tier 15, they're not supposed to be even in this raid. You can see Gwenum goes down. That's just how easy it is for one of our characters to go down, and she's one of the few at gear tier 16, right? And I think time recording, I think she was only 2 stars. 2 stars, or I don't think she was at 3. I think 2 stars at the time of recording. But yeah, now we're just focusing on Nova. Again, just hoping he doesn't get any kind of turns. At this point, with their HP being so low, that's why I'm not using their abilities, because I do want to maximize what I can in the next node, right? And as you see, thankfully Super Skrull was able to clean up, and here we go. Now on to node 2. But yeah, that's the node 1 wrap right there. So we're gonna switch things up a little bit here in terms of just the attack order, right? We're going to be focusing more so on Quicksilver, but we also need to be mindful of Silver Surfer. So right from the get-go this time, I activate the ultimate to land the trauma on everyone, but we control Quicksilver at the beginning, as you can see, but now we're actually focusing on Quicksilver, so that way he doesn't, you know, throw these back at us with his abilities in terms of how he can actually strip away. And that's why the trauma is really big with Super Skrull as well. So a lot more burst in this node compared to the first node, but by doing so now, Silver Surfer's down, and now we can resume our focus on Quicksilver. And kind of similar to how we handled Nova, we want to have that same treatment here with Quicksilver, because we just don't want him getting his abilities off. And if you're able to ability block him and control him before he gets his turns, that's kind of the ideal standpoint here. So we're just unleashing everything on Quicksilver, finally able to land the stun, which is pretty big. Not letting him get his abilities off, especially his ultimate, is going to be very, very big for us, and could be very well the difference maker actually in this node. I mean, that's the treatment. Otherwise, there's not really that much damage dealers in this initial wave. It's more so just kind of sponging through all those attacks. The Silver Surfer we handled already, and as you can see, we're very, very close here to cleaning up. So thankfully, it's not that many enemies too, with only 11 in total for this, but it's really just about management of the waves, right? So very close here. And again, that striker on Venom, super big, as you can see. Just being able to get the additional speed bar and more turns, right? At this point, you should be able to get Void Knight's abilities back already, but we're just gonna focus here and wait a little bit, because I saw that most of them already had the ability block, so I didn't want to waste it just yet. We know that more enemies are coming as well, so we do want to be mindful. And again, these enemies don't really deal a lot of damage, so it's kind of nice. The reason we want to be conservative is because there is an Eternals combination, and this is where things can get very interesting. If Icarus gets his abilities off, like his ultimate, this team is done. Like they're just not built to survive an Icarus ultimate. So you really want to be doing 2 things, right? The moment they spawn, you want to ability block them as soon as possible. And as well, at this point, you wouldn't have been able to save for Super Skrull's ultimate, just because that would have been used already initially. So we want to be stunning Icarus or controlling him as much as we can. And if you're able to, Void Knight, he's going to steal his energy, right? We want to just make sure, even if he gets his turn on, he's not going to be able to get his abilities off by stealing his energy. And that's kind of, that's where I do prefer having you know, this ability over an ability block, because you can see with the natural cleanses that Icarus and Cersei have with the passives with each other, he would have had an opportunity to ultimate there, but we took away his energy and now he's stunned again. So this is kind of how you want to manage it when you have this weaker team. And now another opportunity here to ability block Cersei. We just don't want to give her that chance to have more synergy with Icarus. So at this point, you should be in a good spot. Only downside is that security might be able to get his taunt off, so you have to get through him first, but then otherwise you should be in a pretty good spot. Once again, granting energy, and we're in a good position. You should be able to rinse and repeat. Ultimate again for Void Knight. really, really big. And now, yeah, we're able to basically clean up. When you have all of them with all their debuffs, we have 1:30 left. Again, timing's a little tight, but that's only because really our characters are, just shy of 85, and only Super Scroll is really the one that's built for the Incursion raids. Everyone else is kind of just a luxury tag on in terms of support. So yeah, at this point, we should be in a really, really good spot here. You can see many of them being lower than 50% HP now. Security is a little bit annoying because he keeps getting his taunt, but now you're able to use a lot of abilities. And you want to kind of prepare for the boss node, right? Now, I didn't make footage on the boss node because it's just too hard. With this team, they just get one shot right away in the first 15-20 seconds. I think you do need a bigger HIVE-MIND to attempt the boss nodes, but thankfully, the boss node's nice because obviously you have your other alliance mates that can work together. So that's why it's not an issue. I did the same thing with Rebirth as well. So yeah, we're looking good here. We're just gonna clean things up, but the good news is by doing it this way, our Super Scroll's ready to go, and I have my full Rebirth and my pseudo HIVE-MIND team here with Super Scroll ready to go for the boss node. So this has been what's proving successful for us, and how I've been able to solo a bio node as well, utilizing HIVE-MIND as well. If you guys don't have HIVE-MIND, I'll link my Rebirth video as well below for the first 2 nodes, but hopefully this helps you guys with the team levels and requirements. Thank you as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.